like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero?
All right, all right, all right. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Guess who? Guess who? Hello, my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd hop on here and talk about Summer Wells because for some reason I've had this little girl on my mind lately. And I thought I'd do this live that I've been putting off for a while. And I thought that we'd be able to talk about this little girl because she's been missing for a while. As far as I know, she would be 8 years old and some change right now. So I thought I'd get into it because I was talking to Adam Brown, which is the person who has Adam Brown Adventures. And I asked him if I could have permission to show this video of him searching for some evidence in this river. And he gave me permission to do so. So I thought that I would show that as they're diving for some possible evidence near where she went missing. If you've been here before, thank you so much for continuing to show up and giving me your attention. If you're new to the channel, thanks again for reaching out and giving my channel a chance. There's plenty of stuff in the library, and I go live at random, so I can't ever tell you I'm going to go at a specific time because it's pretty much just random because I don't really follow a script. When I go live, it's pretty much off the cuff. So most of the time, everything I talk about is from that moment and that moment on. So I can't really tell people, hey, I'm going to tune in this time, I'm going to tune in that time. So I would suggest maybe you just watch and see if 12 Gauge is on live, you know. Anyways, if you decide to chat, please keep it classy and please agree to disagree, you know. Please don't cause havoc to the presenter or anyone in the chat. This isn't a place for you to be disrespectful. We try to keep it calm in here without much drama. So, can you dig that? Can you dig it? If you can and you're ready for a good vibe, then you've come to the right place. Once again, my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome, and let's get ready to do this. Like I said, this individual's name is Adam Brown. He and another individual, they dive for missing people, missing cars, missing anything, any evidence that they can find. So they were diving the other day for some potential evidence looking for Summer Wells. So here we go.
That could be a weird rock formation. We haven't had a diver actually double check.
We found blanket or tarp here.
Technically, we found somebody's human remains. We got the magnet hooked onto the barrel.
All right, you should be there.
That's it.
Holy shit, look at that. Wow.
You might call them scuba sleuths.
Their new hobby went from cleaning up waterways to solving mysteries. And what a great public service.
Jeremy Sides and Adam Brown travel the country searching for closure in cold cases.
Amazing. The gift of closure to grieving families is absolutely priceless.
Today we traveled to Kingsport, Tennessee to meet up with a local search team and assist them in following up on a possible clue of the missing persons case of Summer Wells.
Today marks a sad milestone in an East Tennessee missing child investigation that has captured national attention. Summer Wells has been missing for 1,000 days. The 5-year-old disappeared from her rural Hawkins County home in June of 2021. The little girl liked Paw Patrol and was preparing to start kindergarten. If alive, she is now 8 years old. And here's the TVI's latest age progression image of what she could look like today. Summer's mother says the little girl was last seen inside her family's Beech Creek home. The TVI calls the search for Summer one of the most exhaustive and involved missing child case it's ever investigated, and promised not to stop searching for Summer until it finds answers.
Today we traveled to Kingsport, Tennessee to follow up on a lead that Ryan here from the channel Ryan Finds Truth located a potential anomaly using your underwater camera. And this picture is pretty shocking because it appears to be a human body underwater, under this cliff we're standing at here. And if you guys don't know, Kingsport is not the best. There's a lot of crime in this town, but there's also at least 14 missing people. And we've done stories before on Summer Wells, which is a missing 5-year-old girl from 3 years ago. Actually, a week ago is the 3-year-old anniversary of her disappearance. And Ryan reached out to us and he showed us this picture, which is pretty shocking.
Yeah, it started out as just, I thought it was just an underwater sheet with rocks on it. And then eventually we started, looking at the footage, and it was just, it looks.
So if you heard them say correctly, they found a body or what looked like skeletal remains in the bottom of this lake. And this seems to be one of the locations where there had been suspicious activity. So they're going to dive and continue to follow along to what they got to say.
Looks like remains.
Mm-hmm.
We were told that it could be a weird rock formation, but we haven't had a diver actually double check until we reached out to you guys. And I don't know, we are so grateful you guys come out, check this out, scan the bottom, and at least put it to rest one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can bring answers at least to this. Find out what this is. I mean, maybe it's a rock, but I'll show. Viewer discretion advised. This is a blurred image. I'm just going to draw an outline of kind of what we think. So I wanted to do a viewer discretion advised warning. I decided not to blur the footage because Ryan showed this clip on his channel, and after diving on it later in this video, we do not believe it to be remains, just a very suspicious object. But here is the clip, and here is the screenshot. You guys let me know what you think. It looks strange, but we didn't find anything actual remains, so I decided to show it to y'all, and it's definitely a mystery. You guys be the judge, but we're going to go down there for sure and find answers to see if this is a missing person. I think there's a good chance because this area, this water, is the deepest area. This is a really, it's a good spot. You could easily hide and do something, illegal, criminal activity under this bridge. So we're going to get out here and work with Ryan today. Definitely go check out his channel. I'll have a link in the description. You cover a lot of missing people videos on your channel and cases, which is really amazing. We're all trying to work together as a community and locate as many people as we can. And it takes an effort. So we're out here going to suit up and dive and hopefully find some answers today.
A couple years ago, me and my wife got into an accident up in the mountains, and we did not have any injury law firm to fight for us, to help us get money for the injuries. My back was hurting bad, and I still have issues to this day. And if I just did a little bit more research, I would have known to choose a good law firm like Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys in all 50 states. They are more than just a traditional law firm. They're a compassionate group of people with a promise of being for the people. When you're serious, go to forthepeople.com/Adam Brown and check out the link in the description today.
I don't know. I feel like anybody that is going to be able to find it is going to have to do better. The cops pretty much went started halfway under and swam this way. They didn't even look at the other side. And they only swam back and forth. And when I was watching them, I'm like, if they could just go to the bottom, kind of like what you described, and slowly and carefully just examine the bottom. Because you saw how it was laid. It was right up against the side. It was like just right at the bottom sitting there. But
I stared at it forever, and
I have utmost respect for these two guys and the crew that they employ, because they get in some places where I don't know if very many people would be willing to go diving or even looking for people that have gone missing or even possible remains. It takes a special person to do what they do, and I salute them.
at first I was like, "What? Maybe I see a bone," because I wasn't looking deep into the picture. And then I said it to him, and he was looking really close, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah." Once you see it,
and then he pointed.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong thing. I was like, that doesn't look like a bone. But then I saw like the shape of the body and like what appears to be a body. I mean, everything, the curves, it's a little more curvy than a rock around it. And you can't really unsee it once you see that picture.
Yeah, after that, you're like, oh, I sent it to my wife, and she's like, yeah, I can see it.
For me, it was, and the skull that you can see almost looks like there's marine growth around the head or whatever, if that's what it is.
Yeah.
If it's a rock formation, it is the strangest rock formation I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But I think it's embedded. I think it's really hard to spot unless you're really right on top of it.
And there is that tarp or blanket or something nearby, which adds to the suspicion.
Somebody said they saw someone, or they saw somebody from the family.
So before, what brought me here was we started on the Summer Wells case. We get locals calling us and sending us stuff. And this one was just a local that said, hey, about a year after, because they believed the body was moved, Summer's body was moved. They said they saw, I don't want to say her name. It was a woman, person of interest in the case. They saw her walking out from under the bridge. Nothing, just no fishing pole or anything, which is suspicious. Doesn't mean a lot.
Okay, so that is suspicious. I mean, I don't know a lot about this case, but I'm going to replay a Court TV update, kind of giving you an update because I want to follow this case a little bit. It's interesting to me and I want to follow it because there's not much else going on right now and she's yet to be found. So it's going on 3 years. As he was saying, there was a lady that had been seen who was a person of interest that was walking out from under this bridge. And as they said, this is an isolated spot to be able to dumping whatever or just having suspicious activity. So it's interesting.
Well, she could have gone down there to smoke, but I'm like, well, we need search locations. That's suspicious. I brought my kayak down, started down the river, went along the shore. I was kind of searching that way. But I'm like, I see you guys always focusing under bridges usually. That's where you kind of start because that's where people typically dump things. So I came here, put my camera away in, and I just let myself slowly drift back and forth. And then I had to go home to see it because I can't see live with the GoPro. Yeah. So I watched it at home. And once that thing came into view, it was like, I saw the sheet. I'm like, what the hell is, I've never seen anything like that. I underwater, I saw the shells. I saw all kinds of weird crap the whole day I was filming. And then all of a sudden, this thing I've never seen before, the sheet. And then I didn't even know, I didn't see the rest of it until later. I just saw a sheet with rocks on top. To me, that's suspicious enough to call the cops. If there's a tied up sheet with rocks on top. So that's why I called them. And I didn't see the rest until later, until we were actually looking closer at the footage.
I mean, this is like the deeper area as far as water goes around it. So it makes sense if you're going to hide something. You know, the other spot, like closer to Summer, I noticed is really shallow shoals. Like, yes, if you put something in there, you can see it from the stand. I mean, it's not, you wouldn't do that.
Isn't it crazy how it vertically, down. So the bottom was 15 feet at that point. I was wondering how deep it actually was under there.
So is it to the right over here or more in front of the stump?
See where we are now. So it's going to be along the shore from the edge of the bridge. And you have to scan all around. I think it's right around that area.
Right here.
But I don't want to say because, it could be a little to the left, right over there. You never know.
Yeah.
I was guessing where I put the camera in, where I was, and it could be off by 5 or 6 feet. So, what do you want?
We'll check it out. Yeah. Let me put the anchor in.
If you feel that these guys look familiar, I played a video on Lady Bird Lake where they went diving in Lady Bird Lake and they found 2 vehicles. They didn't find much else, but they found 2 vehicles that were submerged in the water. So they're good at what they do. They have a lot of interesting finds. If you haven't checked out their channel, once again, it's called Adam Brown Adventures here on YouTube. Go check them out.
Technically,
I'm usually not the camera person.
yeah, I mean,
The left side of the stump over.
your logic made sense. I mean, where they could just slide it down. That spot right there is a strong potential right there.
I mean, if they was mean about it, they would just
Toss it
and roll it down. If it was a personal connection, you would think like maybe they walked it all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
I really gotta wash this thing.
Oh, the water temperature shouldn't be too bad.
Before we get into the dive, I wanted to go over a few details that I originally missed. And there's just so much that goes on in this case for Summer. So many different stories and theories about her disappearance. But wanted to clarify right now, we are in the water. We are searching for a blanket, also remains, also anything that stands out to us like a barrel. I also discovered this video of Summer dancing around a barrel in her yard in the rain, and there are a lot of different theories on this kind of video. There's a lot of things about her parents, but I'm not going to go into all that. There are so many different theories and news stories out there. But I also wanted to bring the attention to 2 other missing girls in the Kingsport area, Layla Santinello and also 19-year-old Holland Snap.
21-year-old Layla Santinello went missing in Kingsport on June 27th, 2023. 4 months later, 19-year-old Holland Snap disappeared in the same area. Since then, their families have been searching for answers.
So I wanted to bring attention to those 2 cases as well, since we are really looking for any clues, any signs of remains, any answers. So we're going to do our best to search everything we can. Let's get in the water and see what we can find.
If you don't know a lot about this case, I found out through these guys and also doing a little research that while Summer was dancing next to that barrel that said for sale, a lot of true crime individuals were speculating that maybe that meant that she was for sale, and that's why she went missing, because she's being trafficked. But you just never know. I mean, it's been 3 years and some change, almost 4 years, I think. and she would be almost 9 years old. So I think it's interesting to continue looking into this case. And they're about to do a dive, and it's very interesting what they find.
I don't know. Since we're on this ledge right here, have you looked over there yet?
It's right here.
Body came off right here. You think it'd be laying on this rock? So I mean, we can clear this and then just go that way.
And it drops down a lot right here.
So I figured it'd go straight down.
You don't want to go straight down first?
I mean, you saw when it was deep. It wasn't right here. It was pretty deep. Yeah, okay.
Let's just slowly go straight down.
They're looking for a blanket, a barrel, and possibly skeletal remains.
It doesn't seem like it's all mossy.
Not bad.
Before we get into the dive, I wanted to add in some other details that I didn't originally have in this video. There is so much that goes on with this case. It has been publicized a lot. There's so many different theories about Summer Wells' parents. There's even this suspicious video of Summer dancing around their yard, and you can see this red barrel in the yard, which is another thing a lot of people have theories about. I'm not even going to go into right now. You guys can definitely do some more research, but we do end up searching and finding a barrel later at the next location. So stay tuned. So keep watching for that. So I did find that interesting. But I also wanted to mention that there are two other girls in the Kingsport area that are missing. Layla Santinello, who's 21, missing on June 27, 2023, and 19-year-old Holland Snap also disappeared in the same area. So those are other missing girls that we are also keeping in mind. I wanted to mention. But there's so many theories, so many videos about Summer, which was the main focus. And then once we got here, we started looking into these other cases. But definitely wanted to mention this as well. There's so much going in this area. But let's get in the dive and see what we can find.
I don't know about you guys really quickly. I know I have to keep stopping it due to the copyright stuff for YouTube, so please don't think I'm doing it just to hear myself talk. I'd rather play it all the way through, but one thing I was going to say is I'd hate to be down there looking for something and then you grab for something and you find something you weren't even looking for. But as you heard him say, a blanket, a barrel, possible remains. So you heard them say they found the blanket. Nothing else at this point, but they found the blanket.
The blanket. There are a lot of boat anchors down here.
Like I said, I give it up to Adam Brown and his counterpart, man. That's has to be nerve wracking because I can't imagine being underwater, like searching with all that stuff floating around you. I don't know, just watching it giving me kind of a little anxiety. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh. What? Are you kidding? Wow. Yeah, it's a bag with like remains probably. Wow. Wow.
I found somebody's remains.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Like a herd? Makeshift herd?
No, that's what they give you at the place.
Oh shoot.
They didn't even scatter the ashes. They just threw the whole
They
box.
just threw the box in.
Gosh. Technically, you guys found remains.
Technically.
You know, we've seen
Got
this.
a social and everything on there.
Yeah, we've seen this before where maybe it's just hard for people to actually like open the bag and then just throw it in.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So technically, we found somebody's human remains. It's just not the remains we were looking.
How would you find that?
It was pretty deep.
You were way over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So
that is crazy.
Well, I brought that blanket up just to make sure.
That was the one. Is that the one?
That's the one that we. Yeah.
Yep.
It's in the picture.
All right, we just got done with the dive. About an hour dive. Only burned about half my tank though.
Yeah. I think we found the spot.
Yeah.
I brought up the blanket. I mean, it's covered in stains, so you never know.
So that's a shirt or that's the blanket.
Yeah, that's the blanket. I found the shirt also.
The shirt over there. And like GoPro died before I found it. You might have seen it for a clip, but I found somebody's ashes. I'm gonna get in here.
I was thinking about it.
Now, this is not the first time we found ashes, but that is somebody's remains. I'm gonna blur his information.
Oh, definitely see.
But his name Alexander. That's all I'm gonna say. Somebody's remains, and we'll put those back in the water. But it's just kind of weird when you see them still in the box because you're supposed to scatter them. I mean, luckily it's still plastic. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's always crazy to find this stuff. I think the first time we found remains like that.
Yeah.
First time we found it fresh from the crematorium. I've never seen it
It's
like
got
that.
all his information on there, though.
Poor guy.
It looks like 2023 is the date. I think it said on there.
It's not very old.
He was born.
I don't know if you've ever seen a river or a lake when they dredge it or when they drain it. Man, there's all kinds of stuff in there that they find. I mean, if you go to these individuals' page, you can see all the things that they found that, you know, you just wouldn't think would be thrown in a river or a body of water. You know, it's interesting, and they're about to find something else. So let me crank up the suspense. There we go.
1950 something.
Oh, 1950?
I saw- Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm so old.
So you think that's the shirt down there?
That
It's
looked
having a pile
like
that you
the
saw in your video.
Yeah, with the frills on the bottom. I'm pretty sure you guys found this spot and you found everything we saw.
I mean, there's a lot of curvy kind of rocks in certain places.
Weird eroded rocks. Just looks weird.
And I wasn't expecting to see that because you don't see them up here, but then you go down and they're kind of wavy and there's lines in them. And
there were shells everywhere. See, that's what you might have saw in here.
there was a couple rocks that kind of looked like the legs, like two legs, sort of. I don't know if that was it. It's hard to. I mean,
You guys said light plays tricks on you on the camera, kind of sometimes, right?
yeah. I mean, and if you had the camera down at depending on the angle on a pole, that's a lot of variables there. But I feel pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, when I first swam up to, I think he was behind me. I saw the blanket and I saw the stick that I thought was the bone to begin with, the big one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, right next to that stick was where the body we was thinking was, and there's absolutely nothing laying there, just a cluster of rocks. So that's when I went deeper, just thinking, what are the chances she moved? And I didn't see anything.
That's
about
what I was thinking. Yeah. So I just kept going down.
Yeah.
It gets really deep and cold, but we scanned.
Yeah, I made
pretty
it
much
down
the
to all
whole
those
way.
cinder blocks.
A lot of cinder blocks. A lot of trash here.
It's a party spot. I found a fishing rod.
Yeah.
If any of you in chat are scuba divers, I tip my hat to you. If you enjoy that or you snorkel or any of that stuff, I tip my hat to you because it is nerve-wracking for me. I've tried to snorkel before in the ocean. It's not my cup of tea for sure.
Yeah, I saw a fish rod too.
I was kind of surprised I didn't find a gun.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
Yeah, around here I would be surprised.
Well, I mean, I think I was right out there near the edge of where I found those ashes. I bet if I kept going, it was pretty muddy and silty, like kind of push in a little bit. But I bet there's a lot more stuff.
Heading out there, I was like, where is he going?
Well, I wanted to go a little farther out, but we can go look at that other spot. Can we get there by here from here?
Yeah, it's just
right
not
up there.
far at all.
Maybe down to scan it. I mean, we can scan it, and take a look.
That's
We're out
a
here.
spot that I wanted to go back to. So.
All right, so there may be a lot of different opinions about putting these ashes with the box and everything. We're gonna put it back in the river, just in a deeper spot, and nobody will disturb it.
Yeah, we're at 50 feet now, so nobody's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
find it
deeper.
down
I mean, I guess since the family put it in with the box, we're gonna put it back just in a better spot.
Yeah.
So.
All right. There he goes.
So long, Alex.
And the plan now is this other location there's a lot of rumors about this other spot that we're gonna go look at. It seems like more rumors at this spot we're going to than at where you were, where we just dove, right?
Yeah, it's near Grace Point Fellowship. It's near the cliffs near the dam. A lot of people have mentioned that area is easy to dump something off of. Nothing concrete there, but it is an easy place to access and dump something. So.
And I think, that's
those connected to this river.
Yes.
Okay.
Same river.
The easy access spots, the spots people are going to go to, to do that. So we'll go over there and check that out. All right, we're over here at another location where there's a lot of theories where summer wells could potentially be, and we got the Feefish drone. I'm going to be putting down there. We're going to get an image of what is going on, what it looks like. It's only 30 feet down.
And that's out here.
So it gets a little deep. There's a hole over there. It's like 50 or 60. But let's send this down and see if we can get an image of what we're looking at.
All right, so I put my drone in the water, and for some reason I was having issues recording on my memory card, so I just had to screen record my phone. So it's not the best quality as normal, but I send the drone down, and you can see it's quite rocky, but the visibility is okay. You know, as soon as you stir up stuff, it starts getting silty and hard to see. But I keep going around a ways, and there is a pretty steep drop off. You can see it gets down to it's like 38 feet right here, but it does go deeper. And there is stuff out here. There's trash, logs. You know, there's a brick right there, which is kind of interesting. So there is man-made items. There is this parking lot way up on the hill, which is how people are throwing things off of there. And that's what the kind of the theory comes around, that she could be in some sort of barrel or object that has been tossed off the cliff. And this location is pretty close to the dam, which you'll see here once we dive down. So there definitely is a danger element. But the drone is a great tool for us just to get a heads up and take a look at what we're about to get into. Now that object right there, I have no idea what it is. It almost looks like the bottom to a scuba tank or part of like a boat roller or something. It's something strange. I can't identify it, but if y'all know, leave a comment.
You know, when I saw them show that drone, I was like, man, I want one of those so bad. It'd be so awesome to just put that in the water and just look around, see what you could find. I mean, like I said, you might find something you might not intended to find. That's the thing that bothers me. Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
There is a fair amount of logs, and this one was very strange to me because it has a rope tied around it, tied to a giant rock right here. And I cannot really think of a good explanation for why someone would do this, besides someone had a tree on the hill and a loose rock and wanted, just for fun, to push the rock off and rip the tree out of the hill. But if you have any theories, let me know. But it was very strange to see that.
Can we go that way?
Oh, good.
Straight down.
And then once we get there, just
You could, I mean, I could go that. We could go.
oh, right at. So if we go straight down here and then go that way, we'll be able to run into something.
If we do it, let's turn around and go back after a ways. You recording?
All right, now we are in the water after doing some reconnaissance with the drone, and we are diving down, just kind of slowly going down together.
Oh.
This area is a little bit different than what we typically dive in, partly because it's near the dam and it's down a cliffside. And it gets pretty deep too. You know, typically we're diving in rivers, under bridges, things like that. So this was kind of a different experience. But it's a very rocky area, very slanted. So anything that falls down the cliff is going to roll pretty far down to the bottom, unless it got caught up on a rock.
So let's do some recap. They found 2 blankets, a cremation box with ashes in it, and they're about to find some other stuff here, and it's pretty interesting. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Let me hear you say, I can dig it in the chat.
So here you can see a few different things. There's a bottle, a brick. There's a lot of trash around this area. I believe that was an older Coke bottle. So right here I found a bone, which is always suspicious. It looks like an animal bone to me. But you guys let me know in the comments. All right, so right here we found a barrel. Now this was a huge red flag because there were theories that she could have been dumped in a barrel. And you hear about these stories, it happens. It's a heavy object that you could potentially put someone in and then dump in the water to sink. So the fact that this was at the bottom of this hill, deep underwater, is very suspicious. Me and Jeremy are going around it, trying to get a better look. The silt is definitely causing some issues with the visibility, as you can see. But we are feeling around the barrel, trying to see if there's any openings or weld marks. And our next plan is to go up and try to see if we can actually get this barrel out of the water.
These guys are good, man. They set out to find the blanket. They set out to find the barrel, and they set out to find other things, and they found pretty much everything they set out to find. If anything, just to prove that this isn't Summers. But you never know. Let them open that barrel up.
Yeah. It looks close though, like factory field. But there's the barrel.
I mean, how would you?
That was animal probably, right?
How the hell would you get? How those things work? Factory sealed, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know. Probably somebody just dumping their trash off to the parking lot one day, but
Probably. Yeah, we're 50 foot deep.
yeah, it's pretty cold, dude.
That's normal.
All right, so we just got done diving that spot. We came across, hopefully I recorded it all. I found this bone first, which that looks like animal bone to me, I would say. And you look at a clip like this, it's probably a lot of accidents. But also we came across a barrel, which appeared to be sealed, I would say. It looked old, it was kind of rusty.
Yeah, it was really rusty. It's factory sealed. But I don't know anything about barrels.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe you could put the lid back on and bang the sides, like bend it. I don't know how those things work.
Well, I think we might try to stick a magnet to it. Yeah, that's it. That's it right there.
So do you want it? I don't know if you're banging a hold.
If I go real slow, it might. It's sliding it's on the side. It's hooked though. All right, so we got the magnet hooked onto the barrel. We got it hooked on the side though, so it's not a good grip. We're trying to hope we're hoping to be able to pull it up with just a magnet, but it's sliding. Jeremy is gonna go down there, try to tie on better, so we can solve this mystery of the barrel. I really think it's more factory sealed underwater, I would say, but I don't know. It's a barrel. They might as well clear it. And it's in the spot we were thinking. Too,
Yeah, it's the perfect spot. Open one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's animal.
Yeah, it's stubby for a human.
It's a little small. I don't know
It
about.
was a piece of wood.
Yeah, we find a lot of animal bones. They usually, I just don't know. Or human bone. Human bone's more.
Well, they're longer.
They're not as hollow like that.
Well, the ends you can identify them. Unfortunately, that one, the ends are gone, so it's hard to.
Yeah. So Jeremy's in the water right there. And we got the live scan going. Keep twisting it. There's his bubbles coming up. He is 65 feet down right here at the bottom. That barrel is. That's all his air bubbles coming up. So he's trying to see if he can tie that rope around it. Hopefully we can pull this up just to verify. You get it?
It's on. I did notice that the barrel's breaking apart.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know if it'll come up or not, but
You tied it around it?
I got it around it, but as I was doing that, like it just started crumbling. I tried to look inside, I couldn't see anything, but I'd be surprised if this works.
So you had the magnet stuck on the flat?
I mean, yeah, but I got it wrapped around and tied up and all that shit.
All right, well, I guess let's get you out first.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I don't know what my mask. I got to shave my mustache. My mask kept flooding, and I was trying to control my descent. So I'm airing my stick up because the more I go, it's faster. And then I was like trying to pop my ears. And then when I got to the bottom, that dam is roaring underwater.
You can hear it.
And I'm just like, geez, that's terrible.
I thought I heard it a little bit before when we got.
Oh, it's roaring now. Like it feels like I'm right next to it. Wow. When you get down to the barrel. It is so flipping cold.
I was watching you on the live scan. Legs flailing all the way down.
Oh, it sucked. I hate that. It's wrapped around now. If you're really careful, it might hold together. Here's hoping. I don't know what we're supposed to do either. Like
with it,
we pull it like halfway up and then just drive over there to where it's not deep. Yeah, I mean, if we could get it up enough, and then we could just creep over there, it'd be a lot easier to see what's inside. I mean, when I shined my light in and looked in, I mean, I couldn't see anything, but it also wasn't full of like oil.
Can you tell if it was like filling with fluid at that point when it cracked open?
No, it was already full.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Let's go. Yeah. Slow.
Slow and steady. All right, you should be there.
That's it.
Holy shit, look at that. Wow.
Oh, it is halfway open.
Let's tie it off somewhere.
Here, let me do this. Okay.
Good job tying it though. Holy cow.
I kind of overdid it. I was like, I'm not gonna mess around. So I was
Yeah.
like,
That's tight right on there.
Yeah, it should be good. Whew. Well,
you got your workout for the day and everything.
Yeah.
It'll probably be fine. That thing is crumbling, man. See, there's a little fill hole.
I don't see anything in it. This is at the back side. Might have just been an empty barrel. Yeah, I think it's empty. Just afraid that if anything was in it, it's gonna fall out. So I'm gonna check and make sure. Appreciate it.
It's fun playing today with you guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Very tall. It was nice meeting you guys.
All right,
I will see you around.
we were dropping off Ryan and Jen from Ryan Finds Truth.
Bye.
We're gonna keep on scanning, but we appreciate their help. And if you guys want to check out his channel, I'll have that linked below.
So I guess they didn't find anything, but they did find some evidence. They there could have been evidence. And I'm sure they gave it over to whoever they needed to. But I'm going to do a recap on the case for people that want to come back and continue to listen to my story along presenting this stuff, because I'm going to dive into this case. For some reason, it's pulling at me, and I want to know exactly what happened. I mean, it's been 3 years. So there's been a lot that happened for sure in these 3 years. So this is the very beginning, I'm pretty sure. So let's go ahead and go from here.
In Tennessee, Hawkins County, Tennessee, 5-year-old girl. Take a look at her picture. Her name is Summer Wells. We've been covering this one for a while. She was last seen June 15th of this year, June 15th. Massive search efforts. Members of that community, unbelievable. I haven't seen a reaction like this since years ago down in Orlando, Florida. Folks are concerned. Folks want to find this little angel, but she's been missing since June 15th. Her mother, Candace Wells, spoke to WJHL. They shared the interview with us, explained what happened the moment, the day that Summer Wells was last seen and when she went missing. Listen closely.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma. And she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times. And I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
All right, a couple things, right? So she walks into the house, goes into the kitchen. The boys say she goes downstairs to the playroom, and then Mom comes back in 2 minutes. Now, she might be estimating it. She might not be exactly right, but she comes back very quickly, and she's gone. I mean, it happened that fast, according to Candace Wells.
This is kind of like the Sebastian Rogers case. I mean, not identical by any means, but they come back or they look for their child and they're gone, just like that. How could she have disappeared that quickly? You know, she says she went to look for her in a couple minutes and she was gone. Where did she go? She went in the house. The boy said she went down there to the playroom and she hasn't been seen from or heard from since. Have any of you in chat been keeping up with this case? Other than the parent stuff, is there any more information that you've heard about Summer? Not necessarily the parents, but had there been any other people of interest? I know there for a while the father was a person of interest, but he was at work. And it just baffles me how you can be here one moment and go on the next, and nobody knows anything about it. Let's continue on.
Summer's mom. So let's go back to the scene. I want to show you a photo first. This is a photo of the house. Let's take a close look at this, because when I first heard this story, and if we could drop the letters on the bottom so we get a clearer look at everything. You look at the house here, and I looked at the house, and when I first heard that she went downstairs, I was wondering, is there a door? Is it a walkout basement? But as you can see from the cinder blocks, it's not deep enough. There is no door. There are some windows on the bottom, but the back door, that's the back door. So if she goes in the front and Mom is hanging out around the front or somewhere out there, and she exits the home, it would have to be through that door, because in this shot you can see it almost looks like there's doors over there on the basement, but it's not. Those are windows. So the only door is over there, which looks like the back door. Let me bring in our special guest joining us as we take a look at these pictures and think about what happened here. Joseph Scott Morgan is with us, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and forensics media analyst. Also joining us in Chicago, Illinois, private investigator Eric.
I always like listening to this guy, Joseph Scott Morgan. He's a very knowledgeable individual, and he's easy to understand, and he doesn't hold back with his words. I like listening to this guy.
Erica Morse. Great to see you both. Joseph Scott Morgan, I'm going to start with you with the picture. Let's put that picture back up of the home. As you look at that home, if in fact she goes in there, it seems to me she'd have to exit out that back door, and within 2 minutes, she's got to be gone, like not in the yard. She's got to be in the woods somewhere.
Okay, guys, let's be logical here. Let's use our common sense, because that's what I always talk about. Mom's in the front yard. She came into the house, went downstairs. How could she have gone out to the back door? Look at how huge this yard is. How could Mom not have seen her unless she went straight into the woods? It looks like back here. How could she not have seen her? How could she not have seen anybody running with her daughter? You know, because you wouldn't run through the brush right here, I wouldn't think. Because we're talking common sense here. We're not talking conspiracy. We're talking common sense. How would you not be able to see or hear your daughter shut the door? Because kids aren't quiet. She was 5 years old. So a 5-year-old is not quiet. I'm sure if she would have went out that back door, she would have slammed that door. Or the dog could have started barking or something like that. Tell me what y'all think. Since we're talking common sense, does that sound logical or does that still sound conspiracy? Yeah, Grandma lives out back in a trailer. How could nobody have seen anything? Y'all tell me what you think.
Yeah, it all depends on points of entry in this dwelling. If that is the single point of entry and the one that the mother would suspect that she would have to exit from, you can see the large wooded area to the rear. So my thought is this, Finn, one of the things that I'm kind of toying with, was there somebody that potentially had gained access to the interior of the house that may perhaps have been lying in wait for this little girl, that had access to her, that had identified her, maybe over a protracted period of time. Maybe they were watching through the woods, just to see if they had an opportunity. And once maybe perhaps they made entrance into the house, they could have snatched her at that point, or they could have waited until she exited. I think one of the keys here is observance and collection of any kind of physical evidence within that dwelling that cannot be associated with anyone or tied back to anyone that is domiciled there. Any kind of stranger DNA that might be in there, say for instance, touch DNA that has been left behind. Of course, that would mean that the scene would have had to have been secured and that they could have tested for it at that moment in time.
Erica, your thoughts about the initial part of the story, that within 2 minutes, she's out of that house. It seems to me she would have had to have gone out the back door, because I think if she went out the front door, someone would have seen her. So if she snuck out the back and was an adventurous 5-year-old, she had to make a beeline for the wooded area.
Correct. And I think if she had left on her own, I think she would have been found by now. There would have been some indication of that. Remember, they are still looking for a Toyota Tacoma in regards to this situation. So this really does feel planned to me in some way or another. The proper
and look at the description of what she was wearing. She was reportedly last seen wearing, gray pants, a pink shirt, and was possibly barefoot. Wasn't that other boy, Sebastian, wasn't he barefooted also? I could be wrong. But if he was barefoot, she was barefoot, how far can you really go without your shoes on? I know kids are tough. They'll run just about anywhere barefoot. And there's some adults as well that'll do that. But you have to ask yourself, how far could you really go? How far could you really go barefoot? I mean, I'm sure if this grass wasn't too bad. I know here in Texas you can't go barefoot. There's these little thing called burrs that they're like little prickly things, and they're all over the yard. There's mesquite bushes with thorns and all kinds of stuff. You can't go barefoot here in Texas, but possibly there where she lived, possibly you could go barefoot. But since we're talking about what she had on, she wasn't wearing a lot. So if she's wearing this, that tells me with common sense that this little girl was not planning on going to the backyard. She would have had some shoes on, don't you think? I could be wrong. They said they're looking for a Toyota Tacoma.
Property itself is very rural. I don't see this more as a crime of opportunity. I see this as somebody, like was already said, where someone was either lying in wait or identified that a child was in the house, because I just don't think there was enough time for someone to have inadvertently driven up, walked up, grabbed her, and gone. Mom's passed a polygraph test. That is fantastic. So now they've ruled her out in that regard. They can start spreading a little bit further. I am also equally encouraged by the fact that Texas EquiSearch is involved, Midwest EquiSearch, and they're good. They're really good at what they do, and they have a lot of different technology to use. And so I think that their focus is probably going to be that wooded area and some others.
Yeah, they're coming in over the weekend. Let's take a look at a really wide shot to give you another perspective here, Joseph. As you can see where the house is, there are no neighbors there. There's no neighbors. And that arrow again is...
I mean, if we're looking at this area, this is where the house is. There's only, I don't know where these roads go, or if they're just around the property, if it goes out this way, if this is a road out to somewhere. But it looks like there's not a lot of exit areas that could not be seen or heard. I don't know if that makes sense, guys, but do you just see her going missing in 2 minutes? 2 minutes. That's all it took. And they never heard from her again. So where did she go?
Is pointing to that same door that we've been pointing to in the other pictures. I just look at so isolated, Joseph, so isolated. That's what is so striking to me.
Yeah, it is. And this is one of the things regarding what Heather had stated, that this is, in my opinion at least, a planned event. This is not something where she's in a large metropolitan area. Someone would have, first off, would have had to have known that this residence was back there. So as an investigator, you begin to think about that. Who would have access to this area? Who would know how to get there? Who would know the points of entry and exit, and where they could make their way through there without being seen? So it requires some indwelling knowledge and familiarity with that specific area. I hope that the wooded area around there was kind of locked down. The reason is if there was a point where an observable point where an individual could have been laying in wait, for instance, they may have stayed there for a while. And as a result of that, they could have left evidence in that specific area, say cigarette butts, candy wrappers, footprints, any.
I guess that's Grandma's trailer right there. I guess that's Grandma's trailer. That's her truck. This little girl is 5 years old. How far can a 5-year-old get in 2 minutes?
anything like that. So it has to be thoroughly searched. And that's the key to all of this. I agree. I don't think she just wandered off in a straight line and left. Remember, she's barefooted, Ben. She's not going to make it very far. She might be just sitting in the woods crying in the short period of time. I think somebody got their hands on her.
Okay, Erica, if someone is lying in wait, and we're looking at all these incredible images that we're getting to really get an idea of what this area is like, what's the escape? How do they escape? Do they park down on this road and then walk up and wait in that wooded area around the house? How do you get from, okay, there's a little girl alone in the house, or steps out of the house, I grab her, and then I get completely out of the area?
See, and that's another thing is they go to sensationalize these things. Like, you know, I understand they're doing it for ratings. I understand they're doing it based on past cases that they've done. But it just sounds to me very, very improbable that somebody would be brave enough to sit there and wait. What are you waiting for? The first kid that walks out the back door, you're going to snatch? She happened to be it. So, you know, you snatch her? I mean, how do you know that some kids are walking out the back door? How do you know that no kids are going to walk out the back door? So you're going to wait in the woods for a substantial amount of time, hoping for one person to walk out that back door so you can snatch them. Or even if they went in the house, how would they have not been seen? Or how could a dog, because this area, this residence looks like it probably had some dogs. And I'm not trying to be stereotypical or anything like that, but most people that live out in the country, especially out in that realm of isolation, they have animals. So how's a dog not going to start barking at somebody in the house? How's the dog not going to go with her out of the house? So if you snatched her up, was there a dog with her as well? Did you get rid of the dog, or did you grab the dog too?
And no one sees me.
Well, we don't know who made the tip or the report regarding the Toyota Tacoma. And that would be a key aspect to me looking at this from an investigative standpoint, because where that Toyota Tacoma was spotted could tell us whether or not somebody was lying in wait potentially. They have not said if this is a witness or a suspect or a person of interest, I should say. And so the location of where that vehicle was seen that is of such keen interest to investigators is something I would really be interested to know. Because if it was a mile away, then someone had to potentially grab Summer and walk or dart. That's why you always start at that last known location and work your way out. 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 4 mile, 5 and 6. Because there is, again, there's physical evidence that can be found in those locations if somebody is kind of stuck. And I recall Dad saying from his previous interviews that he wished they had cornered off or locked down that area sooner. I do remember him getting very upset because that area had been almost not locked down enough. And so I think there's a concern that somebody could have waited and gotten out. And again, I would go back to the location of where that vehicle was allegedly spotted, because if it was too close to the house, that could be a getaway vehicle.
All right, we've got 2 more angles of the house that I want to put up on the screen as we continue to examine the scene of where all this took place. And again, we're going to look here at the house. And again,
okay, here's another angle of the house. Here's the back of the house. Mom supposedly was in the front yard, or she could have been over there at Grandma's yard planting flowers, like they said. They're planting stuff. She went into the house to play with the boys. The boys said she went downstairs. So I would say that downstairs were where these 2 windows are, or she went out the back door. In 2 minutes, it took Mom to go in the house looking for Summer, and she was gone. Nobody knew anything.
The red arrow going to that back door that we're looking at. And you can see on the other side of the house, there's a little mobile unit there. that is on this part, it's off to the right. But as you look there, I guess you could make a quick exit and not necessarily be seen because the woods are relatively close, and it's that small window of time. What are your thoughts in speaking with witnesses through the years on their ability to accurately kind of remember concepts of time? Because Mom said, within 2 minutes. Joseph, do you think it was actually 2 minutes? Do you think it could have been 10 minutes? Do you think it could have been less time? How accurate generally are witnesses when they recall a time period like that?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do, Vin, is remember the initial information came in vis-a-vis the brothers. And so that's what Mom had said, at least. And so that's important to kind of peg them down relative to when they actually last saw her and how do they measure time in their young minds. Exactly how do you put a measure on this? So you have to do this in kind of a plus or minus fashion here. Also, relative to access and how quickly could you make your way out of there. Now, if it's a frenetic environment, disorganized, maybe Mom doesn't always have accountability relative to the kids. It's out in the country. Kids can just roam and rip and roar and that sort of thing. I know I did that when I was young. Mom might not remember specifically. And as you go down this timeline, as you move down linear time away from that critical point, memories become very faded. That's why it was very, very important for law enforcement to get to her as expeditiously as possible and grab that kernel of current information, because as time goes,
it's sad in these cases where these kids go missing. A lot of times they don't find anything, not a shoe, not a shirt, nothing, until they find the bodies. It's almost like they just vanish into thin air. And this girl has gone missing for 3 years plus. Where is she? What happened this summer? What happened?
goes along, it'll begin to layer and her memory will change over a period of time. So you have to go back to those initial statements and check them for the veracity.
Erica, what are your thoughts about the boys and their recollection of what they saw, what they heard, and how you can get information from someone that is young?
First of all, they would have brought in, I'm sure, someone who specialized in talking with and interviewing children. It's definitely someone with a social service background in conjunction with law enforcement, who is perhaps someone with a child forensic psychology background who could really extract that information properly, because children do perceive time differently than adults do. They may not even been watching a clock. I believe I may have read a report about video games being involved. That can easily distort time. So you would want somebody who specializes in understanding how to ask the questions of these children, depending upon their ages, and how to get them to recollect things more accurately. Additionally, something I wanted to note, the number one challenge that any parent of a missing child has reported to me throughout the years is the ability to accurately remember time. Once a parent is told that their child is missing, time stops. And so nailing down that timeline can be challenging. When you hear something like 2 minutes, it could be 15, it could be 5 or 10. It's hard to determine. I think that they're probably doing the best they can, and getting to mom as quickly as possible was a key aspect of this. Interviewing those brothers and nailing down just to the millisecond, honestly, is going to make all the difference in the world. But time is something that is very difficult when a family is in shock mode.
All right. And as Erica mentioned, Midwest EquiSearch will be there this weekend. So we'll see if there's any updates that happen. And we're going to stay on this story. And hopefully this does not become a story that we're talking about 5 years from now. You know, where is Summer Wells? But
and it's sad that we're still talking about it 3 years later. And you know what the sad part is? That people were so fixated on this case and they just fizzled out. Roy says, let me see what Roy had to say. Hey, Roy. Or Ray. I'm sorry, Ray. He said, this was a very abusive situation for this young girl. I've actually spoken with the father, done an interview with him and the mother, and I believe that the mother murdered her child and got rid of her body. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on out there related to this case that tainted this case. Also deployed my canine on multiple occasions with no luck. Well, Ray, that's great inside information. I mean, you know, I just started talking about this today. So I know that I've seen multiple creators talking about this case throughout the year that I've been on YouTube. And you know, it's tragic that these cases all have that kind of same semblance when they go missing. Also, the father was not around when the murder happened, only the mother was, so mother is the prime suspect, and there's all kinds of conspiracies out there, but anybody with investigation would. Well, so based on what that gentleman said on Court TV, he stated that the mother passed the polygraph. So obviously, you have some different information about her based on what you're saying here. I'm not doubting what you're saying, but I'm not gonna say that, you know, based on what you're saying, that you're right or wrong, because I haven't been able to investigate this long enough to really have an understanding of what you're saying right now. But I appreciate that you're saying it. Texas Equal Cert did a very good job. There was also a lot of private people that came down to help that did an amazing job with all the experience. There's only one suspect. Okay. So you live in the area, Ray? You live close by? How were you able to get the interview from the father? Do you have a channel? If so, go ahead and drop your channel name. That way we can go check you out. Check out your interview with the father, so we can get some kind of updated information, because whatever you're saying sounds very intriguing. But you can understand my point in wanting to have backup information so I just don't look like a fool later on. There's a lot of crazy YouTubers that used to show up making a lot of problems, to the point that we had to have armed security personnel every time we went in the field. Wow, so that sounds like the same thing with the Sebastian Rogers case. You know, it sounds like almost the identical type situation that I've heard, that there's been a lot of YouTubers that have been harassing the parents and, you know, even taking sides and things like that. I mean, it sounds very dangerous. He said also the sheriff department dropped the ball. There's a lot of crap that's going on. Okay. So I'm going to continue to cover this case and hopefully get caught up. Hopefully get caught up and to the point where you're at. I do have an email, but I don't share it right off the bat. I'm sorry. If you have an email, or if you have some things that you want to share with me, maybe in time as I do some vetting, then we can get to that point. I hope that you understand that. Well, I'm not trying to reignite any kind of craziness. I'm trying to just look at it from an objective point of view, where there's there's nobody really talking about it that I know of. So I want to kind of look into it without having people attacking me or trying to persuade me one way or the other. You know what I mean? So I want to see exactly what went on throughout the years, and Ray has some interesting stuff, and I'm interested. I just don't want to just jump into it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm not worried about you being a liar or anything like that. I'm just saying that, um, yeah, I know they're useless in a court of law. And if the mother is a sociopath, like I believe she is, and also a drug user, it's very easy. You know, I heard because I was watching a documentary about this case. Probably, I don't know, when Idaho kind of calmed down. Um, and I had heard that mother stopped off with a family friend and Summer's brother, I guess. And they stopped off to get a vape. They went down to the river, and Summer and her brother were swimming in the river and waiting around. And then they went back to the house, and all this happened. My question to anybody who would say that the mother was guilty or that she murdered her, what would be the motive? And what did she do with the body? How would she got rid of all the evidence so quickly? And these are just questions that I have. I'm not, contradicting anybody. I appreciate you gotten on here and shared what you've shared, Ray. I didn't understand that, people were actually talking to him. I'd also heard that he had went to jail or something, but I don't know what he had went to jail for. You say, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't believe in YouTube. I only watch videos like yours on cases like this just because I like to see what other people are saying. It's a good way of getting different views. Well, I appreciate that because, like I said, I'll continue to talk with you and, see what you know when I'm presenting this case. And if you vet out to be legit and you're not a troll, then I'll give you my email address. But I've given people my email address and they've harassed me nonstop to try to push their agenda. And I don't want to go through that again. So I hope you understand that. But I appreciate your information that you've shared. It's valuable. I have my interview with the father that's recorded. I supplied it to the sheriff department and also the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Also, my interview with the mother. Well, that's some stuff right there. I'll tell you. The problem with the mother is every time we talked with her, anyone talks with her, she has a different story. And I believe that's why a lot of people had so much to say about this case. But I like to look at things objectively, and hopefully I'll have time to dive into this case a little more as time goes on. I do jump back and forth with cases. I say I'm going to follow up, and still haven't because something else comes up and something else comes up. And I like to diversify my channel, so I don't like to just stick to one thing for months and months and months and months. So thank y'all so much for coming and watching my stream tonight. I hope y'all have a wonderful Labor Day. Y'all try to get some rest, try to get yourself motivated, and don't sweat the small stuff. Nina, thank you for jumping in here. Rondi, Aquarius, Paula, Ray, Typically Unique, Jeff H., chick bait. I appreciate y'all. Y'all make this easy. Hope you enjoy the way I present it. Like I said, I'm very naive. I'm very naive to this case. So I'm not claiming to know anything other than what I heard tonight, which was not a lot. You know, there's a lot to it. She's been missing for 3 years. So you can't learn everything in 30 minutes. At least I can't. I mean, I have to go over something a lot. But I'm going to have 2 weeks off of school, so that gives me a chance to really dive into something different. And hopefully I'll see you around, Ray. You're more than welcome to keep coming back. Love what you're doing. You're keeping it in the spotlight. I appreciate it. No problem. No problem. I hope that she is either found or the justice is served on her behalf, because every missing child deserves justice or to be found. You know, they do deserve that. So, y'all have a wonderful night. And as I always say, Maestro, cue that music.